I'd like to bring this meeting to order. The Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees meeting, September 11th, 2023. Clerk Konecki, please call the roll.
Yes, Trustee Alfano.
Here.
Trustee Cordova.
Here.
Trustee Corkery.
Here.
Trustee Kozar.
Here.
Trustee Kumar. Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Kazone.
Here. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Okay, we're going to start off with item 3A. It's a presentation, Villa Park Police Department officer swearing in of Nicholas Simons.
Well, thank you, Mr.
Our
President.
Police Chief.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President, Manager Harlan, Village Board, and people in the audience. Today, we're here for the swearing-in of Officer Nick Simons. But before doing so, I want to give a shout-out to the fire department for today's ceremony, the 9/11 ceremony, which was a blight in our country's history, but we can think of no better way to make the day a little bit brighter than to have an officer sworn in or a firefighter sworn in. So thank you. As I said, tonight we're here for Officer Nick Simons, and he comes to us with plenty of police experience. And he also has lived in the community. He went to Willowbrook High School, was at the College of DuPage where he studied criminal justice. And as I said before, he had been here in Villa Park as an explorer with our police department, as well as being a part-time officer with the Villa Park Police Department for a couple years. Spent some time in Elburn as a part-time police officer, as well as you were a telecommunicator at DuCon. And lastly, with the Berkeley Police Department, you're a police officer, detective, evidence technician, field training officer. Did I miss anything?
No, that about covers it.
Yes. So as I said, he comes to us as a certified police officer, which means he does not have to go to an academy, and he can start his field training program tomorrow. Nice. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a few thank yous out to Village Clerk Hosanna Kornecki for your part in this process. I want to thank the Fire and Police Commission for their part in getting us a great lateral list where Officer Nick Simons was hired from. The detectives were getting a background done in a hurry with a lot of casework going on. And lastly, I want to thank our police department because I know they're going to welcome you back with open arms.
Thank you.
So, Clerk Konecki, if you will, please. And after that, then we're going to have the badge put on by Nick's wife, Caitlin.
Repeat after me. I
I,
state your name.
Nicholas Simons,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Illinois,
the laws and ordinances of the Village of Villa Park,
the laws and ordinances of the Village of Villa Park,
the rules and regulations of the Villa Park Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Villa Park Police Department,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of probation police officer
of probation police officer
for the Village of Villa Park
for the Village of Villa Park
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is why we have the EMS service. The fire department.
ask the village board to come down for a quick picture.
Yes, sir, I got it. Thank you. No, I just don't want to. I don't want to freedom.
Okay, now, that's just with the police department, and we're done, I promise. No more, just with the police department. Then we're done.
Congratulations, Officer Simon, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to a proclamation. And for anyone out there that does not know who Ray Rupp Search is, you probably haven't been in Villa Park very often. Now, we have a proclamation recognizing Ray Rupp Search as the West Suburban Philanthropic Network's Humanitarian of the Year. And whereas Ray Rupp Search is a longtime resident, she is well known in the village of Villa Park. And whereas Ray Rupp Search is a relied upon volunteer to many organizations, including the Kiwanis Club of Villa Park, the Villa Park Public Library, St. Alexander's Catholic Church, School District 45 Foundation, York Township, Villa Park Chamber of Commerce, and the board for Tri-Town YMCA. And whereas Ray Rupp Search has served as a board president for the village of Villa Park and continues to serve as the chair of the Police and Fire Board, as a member of the Liquor Commission, as well as serving as a trustee for York Township. And whereas the village thankfully recognizes the dedication and leadership of Ray Rupp Search, now therefore it be resolved that I, Nick Cazone, President of the Village of Villa Park, on behalf of the Village of Villa Park, do hereby proclaim and recognize Ray Rupp Search being named the West Suburban Philanthropic Network's Humanitarian of the Year. Congratulations, Ray. Care to say anything?
Well, this was totally unexpected, much appreciated, and very humbling. So I thank you very much. As you said, I've been involved in many organizations, but I've been blessed that the friends I've made and the organizations I've been working with have one goal, and they're committed and passionate to changing the world of one person, at a time. So it's been a pleasure.
Good, thank you.
Just the whole thing.
If the board wants to come around.
Yeah, we'll bring a picture with it.
We want to get somebody on this side just to make it even. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Great.
Okay, we move on to public comments on agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, we do. We have Ray Seska. Ray Seska. Cheska.
Jessica, thank you. The purpose of me speaking again is to talk about truth about 5G towers. I would like to start with safety using an imaginary T-chart. On the left column is the wireless industry, and on the right side is the scientific community. Starting with the column on the left side, we see that regarding safety, the wireless industry has not spent one single dollar on research, according to the industry executive's testimony given at the hearing by the U.S. Senate Committee, Commerce and Science Transportation Committee. Not $1. On the scientific side, millions of dollars have been spent studying the impact of low levels of radiation. Firstly, on human health, resulting in DNA and metabolic changes. And you have the proof of that and all the information that I sent to you. Secondly, the impact on the environment, including dramatic declines, 40% over the past year, in honeybee population. Now, that may not seem important to you, but on which we all depend for our survival, due to increases in atmospheric electromagnetic radiation from cell towers. The radiation interferes with bees' ability to navigate and lose their way back to the hive and die in the search. Thirdly, there is equally declining insect population, another vital part of our biodiversity, with electromagnetic radiation acting in synergy with farming intensification, is considered a main culprit. Fourthly, according to recent study in the Journal of Real Estate Research done on home values, in the proximity of cell towers shows as much as 20% drop in home values. Who wants to live near a tower? I just had to share this one with you. Ripon, California, had a cell tower on the campus of their elementary school. Over a 3-year period, 4 children and 3 teachers were diagnosed with cancer. Though the investigation on the cause is still not complete, Sprint took down the tower and left town. Unfortunately, it was too late for some. Is Fire Chief Stapleton here? Yes, okay, you'll be interested in this. In San Diego, a cell tower was installed adjacent to one of their stations. Once the cell tower was activated, they reported that they could no longer function without firefighters getting severe headaches, inability to sleep, and foggy thinking.
30 seconds.
They experienced what we would consider unbelievable. Firefighters on several occasions got lost on 911 calls in the town they knew like the back of their hand. In one instance, 4 firefighters sat in the rig in a stupor with the alarm sounding in the background, unable to remember how to start the engine. Finally, a medic with 20 years of experience who had never made a mistake forgot basic CPR in the midst of resuscitating a coronary victim.
Okay, sir, we're going to have to
Enough
ask you.
said for me. God bless you all for doing this work for Villa Park. We have trust in you that you will make the best decision for your residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we also have Tina Chan.
I know I didn't sign up, but is there a chance I can speak? Since they're speaking against my case here, I'd like the opportunity to speak. From what I understand, we didn't get a chance last time, so I would like that opportunity.
Yes, I had her on the list next. Yeah, Tina?
Yes, so I'm the one who lives by a 5G antenna located near a school, and we've been tracking the radiation for a few years now, and I'd like to report that in the last week or so, we did new readings of the EMF radiation, and they've increased significantly. So what that means is when the antenna goes up or a tower goes up, and they say, you know, radiation is so much or a power rating is so much, well, they can increase it at any time. Because I just did new readings, and it shows that there's an increase in radiation. There's really no limit to radiation that emits off of a tower or antenna. It just depends on what the market dictates. So say 5G goes obsolete, you get 6G, 10G, 20G. I mean, there's no limit, and the residents wouldn't know. Schools, I mean, they're not being told what's happening to the radiation. And so how can people live by 5G infrastructures? So Ray had talked about a cell phone tower shutdown at Weston Elementary School in Ripon, California. And the kids that were diagnosed with cancer, there's basically a mysterious cancer cluster. The students were under the age of 10, and different types of cancer were brain, kidney, liver, lymphoma. So this is very important, I think, in the decision I'm putting on school property. And when you look at, and also that's a cell phone tower, so now we're talking about a 5G tower, which is more radiation. So what kind of symptoms could residents experience around 5G? Well, sleep disorders, which I talked about last time for myself, which basically ruined my life for a while. Chronic health issues, you can't work, you can't think, you can't function and do household responsibilities if it gets very bad. And then fertility issues for both men and women, skin conditions, burning, rashes, prickling sensation. You get headaches, persistent nausea, dizziness, tinnitus, debilitating fatigue, body aches, arrhythmias, hypertension, memory loss, concentration difficulties, dementia, anxiety, mood disorders, and depression. And I like to know that dizziness, headaches, nausea, memory loss, and fatigue happen to those living within 400 feet of a cell phone tower. So these are symptoms of microwave illness reported by NASA and servicemen working on radar systems. In addition, children have more issues, including cognitive dysfunction. So a 2018 study by MEO, that's MEO, conducted over 2 years looking at the effects of cell towers near 2 schools demonstrated cognitive dysfunction in students closest to higher power cell tower.
30
also,
seconds.
childhood leukemia is up. Major medical studies of magnetic fields in childhood cancer. 19 studies I counted between 1993 and 2013. These are not even all the studies, just the more reliable ones. Also, rising blood cancers in children, probably due to a lot of devices, playing video games, radiation. So TowerCo wants to put up towers on school property next to children. How can the residents trust TowerCo when they have presented no health studies conducted on children or adults? Because I'm referencing studies that exist showing harmful health effects from cell tower, magnetic field radiation. 5G is more powerful than existing cell towers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else, sir?
I had Nancy Perlman, and then next, yeah, yes.
Good evening, trustees. Tonight, I ask that you deny the special use permit to TowerCo for the cell tower at 1250 Ardmore Avenue at Willowbrook High School. And here are the points that are a basis for the denial. This tower is a public safety hazard because of the fall zone. The tower can collapse upward of 125 feet, the height of the tower. I ask the petitioner to please show the evidence the tower would fall upon itself. Bob Berg, an expert attorney in telecommunications law, told us there is an insufficient fall zone here. Ice shards can break off. This tower is a fire hazard as well. Since this is a new macro tower under 199 feet in height, a NEPA checklist is required. At the Plan Commission meeting on June 8th, Mr. Woodward from TowerCo stated there was a question about the FCC and NEPA. The NEPA has to be done on this site. It's done. It's complete. I'm pretty sure it's complete. We have to do that on all our cell sites. That's absolutely mandatory. The federal government requires us on every single site to complete NEPA. We have an environmental. We have to look at bird migration. Oh my gosh, there's a whole series. Nesting animals, any endangered species. It's a laundry list of things. That's all required, and that has to be done. If you build a cell site without that, you might as well just pack your bags and go away because you're doomed. Our group of concerned citizens did a FOIA request to the village asking for the NEPA checklist from TowerCo. The FOIA response from the village on August 25th was, for requests NEPA checklist, the FCC radio frequency report, proof of no endangered species, quote, the village has conducted a search of its records and did not find any documents responsive to your request, unquote. Regarding the endangered species, I went to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service website, IPAC, and I looked at the endangered species for the area around the proposed cell tower. I've given you a copy of what I found, and there are 6 endangered species, 1 bald eagle, and 16 migratory birds. Chairman Jarrett of the Plan Commission received a letter from Kevin Stowe, the Land Preservation Manager of Forest Preserve District of DuPage County, who stated, quote, the Forest Preserve District owns York Ridge Forest Preserve, which is located 120 feet from the proposed 125-foot cell tower location. Communication towers are some of the tallest structures across the landscape, and birds are regularly injured or deceased around these towers for various reasons. We recommend the petitioner follow the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service recommended best practices for communication tower design in siting, construction, operation, and maintenance and decommissioning.
30 seconds.
The Environmental Health Trust, who sued the FCC in 2019 for their 27-year-old outdated guidelines and won, filed a petition in 2023 to the FCC for violating the administrative law for not reviewing the 11,000 pages of independent peer-reviewed scientific literature proving biological harm and for not updating their outdated guidelines. Erica Rosenberg, formerly Assistant Chief of the Competition and Infrastructure Policy Division, FCC, where she worked on NEPA issues, claims the FCC has failed to protect the environment and the public.
Okay, we have to kind of cut it off.
Okay, I'm almost done. Attorneys and engineers who worked in the telecom industry for years have seen the evidence over time of the safety issues from these towers. They are now helping we the people, not telecom. In the name of public safety, our group of concerned citizens is asking that tonight you also represent we the people and deny the special use permit. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President and board members. My name is Tony Phillips with
Nancy, everything.
Kendall Communications, representing TowerCo. All this information, you can go online and find information. You can find things to support this way and this that way, and I can find a million ways on both sides of the story to fit my needs. Absolutely. As far as the NEPA checklist goes, I was never told that they were asking for it. You could have it tomorrow. You'll have it tomorrow. It's done. We follow all the federal rules. TowerCo cannot do a thing without doing SHPO and NEPA and all those things and all the migratory birds. They can't even work on it. If there's a bird that might be hanging around at that time, they can't do construction. We can't add antennas to an existing tower if there's birds hanging around. If there's frogs, I've had frogs where we couldn't build. We have to wait. They have to follow all those guidelines, and they do follow all those guidelines. Okay, that's number one. Number two, no one's considering the fact that there's 2,000 students at that school. That if there's an emergency at the school, they're all going to get on the phone calling out, and their parents are all going to be calling in. Now, that's a lot of traffic on a cell phone tower. A lot of traffic on a cell phone tower. Now, this isn't right next to the school. It's comfortably tucked near the forest preserve, near the trees and all those animals that we have a whole list in the NEPA checklist, and you'll see that, and it'll all be built in compliance with those rules, because they do everything in compliance. Absolutely everything is done in compliance, and we will provide that document. So if you do, hopefully tonight, approve this project, we can make an approval on contingent on providing that document, those documents, if that's what you'd like. I don't know if you were forwarded the emails, but DuPage County does use FirstNet. They changed all their communications over to FirstNet, which means when they're driving through your town, they need FirstNet communications because they overlap with this is DuPage County, correct? So when they come through DuPage County and they're chasing someone through an unincorporated area, through your incorporated area, out to another unincorporated area, they need FirstNet communications. So this is very important. So maybe a few birds, maybe got caught in a cell tower somewhere, or maybe some studies show this and studies show that. People are dying from all kinds of things. They're dying from their village water. They're dying from this thing. They're dying from that thing. So to say it's a cell tower, this thing right here does more than that tower would do to anybody standing on the ground. When you put this by your head, it's doing exactly what a cell tower does. It's sending and receiving, but it's focused right in your head. This is more important, more dangerous than that cell tower would ever be, because a cell tower technically is categorically excluded because of diminishing return. But it's 125 feet up in the air. By the time it hits the ground, it doesn't have, it has like maybe the radiation of a microwave oven or something, maybe even less than that. From what I was told, it's like a light bulb. So to say, you know, living near there or whatever, and no one's actually living right near there. There are no residents near this, right? There's no residents just adjacent to this tower.
30 seconds.
There's a forest preserve, there's vacant land, there's a church, but there's nobody residing that's really affected by this. So we chose this location so that it would be, respect that and not put it in an area where maybe there's a resident there. And there's rules against it. You can't be near residents. You have to be X amount of feet. And as far as the fall zone, we provided an engineering report. They certify the company that's building the tower, manufacturing the tower, puts a break point in there so that it will collapse upon itself. This is a new technology, so that if the wind hits it, all the weight is up at the top, it collapses upon itself. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Public comments on agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, we will move to the consent agenda. Item 7A is approval of minutes from the August 28th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting and the regular Board of Trustee meeting, and the bill listings from the weeks of August 28th and September 5th, 2023, in a total amount of $1,135,174.85. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Ms. Corkery, we have a second. Trustee Cordova, any questions or comments?
I do have one question, and it's not exactly about the bills that are paid, but is there ever a time when we are told what income is coming into the village funds and where we would find that?
The manager and I have been discussing this recently. Major Harlan, why don't you go into that?
Well, we plan to do regular monthly reports. We are not getting them through we're not getting them to you. We should be getting them to you on a regular basis, but that wouldn't be here. That would be in village manager's report. So I've been talking with Chuck Howard about that, and we will have one.
Thank you.
Next meeting.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, Clerk Renecki, please.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, move on to item 8A, is an ordinance approving a special use for a cell tower located at 1250 South Ardmore Avenue. Major Harlan.
Ordinance approval of petition PZ 2302 for a special use for new wireless telecommunications facility located at 1250 South Ardmore as depicted on Exhibit A with stated conditions is up for approval. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with conditions by a vote of 5-0.
Okay. Do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Anyone have a second on this? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'll make that second.
Okay. Before we start discussion, I just want to note, as noted in the memos, discussion can be about the height of the tower or the location of it, but we cannot discuss anything on RF issues. That is against the Federal Telecommunication Act. So, any comments on the ordinance? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I have my concerns. I have my concerns about the height of the tower, matching with our ordinance. I have concerns about safety and just aesthetically how it will look to our community and the potential of our property values decreasing. We have plenty of residents here in person and plenty of residents that have emailed me over the last few weeks expressing their concerns. And I would not be doing my due diligence as their elected official if I did not listen to them. That is part of my job here, to do that. So I am not in favor of proposing the cell tower for those reasons. And then, Mr. Phillips, just a side note, in your earlier comments, you said that people are dying from drinking our city water.
Not your city water, city water.
I was going to ask you if you knew something we didn't. Okay. All right.
You know, so there could be other issues why people are getting sick. It might not just be the cell tower. So, but they're lumping things together and they're finding reasons to. Now, you can go on the internet and find someone who agree with anything you believe. Believe me, it's a fertilizer for felons.
And you did say that the NEPA permit had been filed. Is that correct? And that we will have that tomorrow?
It's complete. It's done. We have it. It's with me. And if you want to approve this project, I can provide it. You know, make it contingent on providing NEPA. It has to be done. Every cell tower. I've been in this business 20 years, almost 20 years.
Do you know what the
Everything has to have a NEPA, it has to have a ship-off, it has to go through all these what do you call it?
Do you know what the results of that NEPA was? What were the results of that finding?
But we'll follow those guidelines, whatever they are.
Thank
you. They can't go through it. If the NEPA says you can't build here, they won't build there. If there's a wetland, if there's this, that issue, they don't build it. They can't build it. They can't legally build it because it's against the law. They're on notice now what's there. So if there is something there, migratory bird, whatever, they have to wait. They have to do a certain time of the year. Like you can only build, like when the bats are migrating, you can only build maybe 6 months out of the year. There's a window that you have to follow. Or you have to wait till they migrate, and then you can build it. But to say you can't have a cell tower, I mean, there's going to be cell towers, and this is a communication, this that we have right now. This is critical infrastructure. It's no longer a luxury.
Okay.
People don't have them on it.
Okay, we're going to have to cut down because you had your opportunity. Okay.
I'm sorry.
And again, I would just like to reiterate that as an elected official, I have to represent my constituents. They have come here today to express their concerns. I understand them, I hear them, all the other emails as well. And again, my reasonings for not being in favor of it are the ones that I had listed previously.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I have a question for both our police and fire chiefs. There's been a lot of discussion about FirstNet, and it was brought up that DuPage County is using that. Is that just DuPage County in unincorporated areas? And will it help our police and fire departments?
We are not on FirstNet, but the county is. That much is true. The school also uses internal communications with radios as such, and they also are on FirstNet. Okay. That helps.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
I guess I have a question.
Yeah,
It
sure.
might be for you folks, but have we seen any slowdown yet or at all, like with cell phone use or, a lot of pinging of, I mean, it could be maybe just for us. Have we seen any issues yet without a cell tower?
Let our chiefs answer that one.
Well, I don't want to bring up revisionist history, but with the community that had the shooting at the school, Stony Brook?
Yeah, Stony Douglas, right? Or no?
Right in Connecticut in 2012. They had no cell phone use for a community of 9,000 people. All their cell phones were shut down. And they tried to do reunification. They had a command structure in place to handle the community, and they could not communicate by cell. So there's a lot of articles out there. And what happened at Sandy Hook, Sandy Hook was the community. So, and that gives you perspective.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornacki, please.
Okay, Trustee Cordova,
No.
Trustee Alfano,
No.
Trustee Corkery,
No.
Trustee Kozar,
Abstain.
Trustee Patrick,
No.
and that's President Kazone.
I will vote yes on that. Okay, seeing as it is 4-1 with one abstention, so that will not pass. here. Okay, since this was voted down, I would request that a motion be made to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance denying the special use application consistent with and including the findings set forth by the village board on this matter. This is something that the attorney and I discussed earlier today in case this did not pass. So I'd like a motion to direct the attorney to prepare this ordinance. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova? Okay, any questions or comments? I imagine this will be ready on the next meeting?
Correct.
Meeting? Okay. Okay. Clerk Kornecki, please, on the motion to direct the village attorney.
Yeah, Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Abstain.
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
President Cassell.
Yes. Okay, move on to item 8B. It's an ordinance approving special uses, variations, and a final plat of subdivision at 320 East Wildwood Avenue, which is Lions Park. Manager Harleen.
The petitioner, which is the village, is seeking approval of special uses for a community center, parks and recreation and government facility, and to request variations from Table 2-3 of Article 2, Section 2.3, Lot and Building Regulations, Article 7, Section 7.6, Location and Use of Parking Areas, and Article 9, Section 9.15, Landscape and Screening Requirements of the zoning ordinance. Additionally, the petitioner is requesting approval of a final plat of subdivision. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on August 10th, after which they recommended approval of all requests by a vote of 8-0. So staff recommends approval as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Cordova, any questions or comments? Okay, so in case, yeah, go ahead. Trustee Kozar.
I'm in favor of whatever we need to do, essentially, to build this, but I'm curious, what is the hardship?
Well, the hardship for the variations is that this is a piece, the strict literal enforcement of the subject ordinance are site-specific. The village does not have the opportunity to, this land has been dedicated for this use, so to be able to build a facility that will have parking in the places where we have planned for it, this is the best way and the most efficient way to use the land available and still be able to provide recreation facilities. That would be the way that I would state the hardship. And if you wanted, Melissa, if you wanted to, you're looking at me like you might have a better answer, but
No, that was a great answer,
Yeah.
Manager Harleen. Thank you so much for that. And I believe there is I'm pulling up the resolution right now so we can evaluate that, but there are various findings that are stated in the resolution that detail the hardship related to this matter. If you have it here.
Yeah.
It's Section 4 of the ordinance talks about the various findings of fact with respect to the unique and special characteristics that strict compliance with the ordinance would create the practical difficulty or a hardship regarding the application of the zoning ordinance. And in that Section 4, it details that the hardship is that the zoning ordinance specifically allows for variation petitions in order to grant relief to a property owner from strict compliance with the regulations of the zoning ordinance. Variations are intended to help alleviate practical difficulty or particular hardship that would be caused by the literal enforcement of the subject ordinance requirements and are site-specific. This project is extremely limited due to its zoning district, RS-7.5. It is the second strictest zoning district in the village and is meant for detached dwelling units. The project scope is highly limited due to the lot and building regulations of RS-7.5. The zoning ordinance is also specifically allows for a right to request a special use for a community center, parks and recreation and government facility in the zoning district per table 6.1. The 3 uses are appropriate for the location of the subject property. All 3 uses have been established on the subject property but will lose non-conforming status during this redevelopment process.
So my issue is, again, I mean, I'm going to vote in favor of this because I want to see this rec center, but my issue with this is that a few years ago, when I applied for a variance, one of the reasons that this board, not the same members of this board, but other members of this board, as well as planning and zoning, denied a variance that I was requesting was because they argued that there was no hardship. Here we have an open plot of land that we're building new with basically no restriction because it's a clean footprint, and the village itself is asking for a variance. One of the requirements, the main requirement to get involved is a hardship. So it doesn't seem like it's being, that concept of hardship is not being adhered to equally throughout various petitioners. Mine was one example, there have been others. I think we should just outright remove the hardship requirement for a variance, and if somebody wants something, a variance on a building code, they should be able to come and make their case as to why they want that variance, and not have this vague concept of what a hardship may or may not be, and how it can be granted to some and not to others, and create a general fairness in this village, and just remove the concept of hardship. And on a case-by-case basis, the board can look at that and decide if they want to vary from the ordinances that are given.
Okay. That's something that probably can be brought up with staff and planning and zoning, I would think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just from a legal perspective, with respect to statutory requirements and the village being a non-home rule community, hardship is a standard that has to be established for a variation. So that, to change that to not require the hardship element would be, the village doesn't have the authority to do that via the state statute.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
But they have the ability to determine what they decide is or isn't a hardship. And in this case, we have an open plot of land, and somehow we're finding that a 2.7 acre piece of property, because of the size of the property, somehow has a hardship.
Correct, and that's a legislative decision for the village board to decide.
Whether or not there's a hardship.
Correct.
So even
And
though
what constitutes a hardship?
the very vague concept, that's what I'm referring to, the very vague concept that you can decide what is or isn't, and reasonable people can differ as to what or unreasonable people for that matter, can determine what is or is not a hardship. So there is no set definition of what a hardship is. If on some projects that we like, we can say, yeah, sure, there's a hardship, and other projects that maybe somebody doesn't like, they can say, no, there is no hardship. That doesn't seem fair, and that doesn't seem to give the same fairness to everybody who may come before this board in the future to say, I want a variance, and this is why I want a variance.
Yeah, okay. Trustee Patrick.
I'd like to recommend that our Planning and Zoning Commission be tasked with identifying and defining the word precisely, so that way we could use that description going forward of what that term means.
Is that in the statute, in the state law?
That would be something that we could look into, so that there's specific direction as to what findings the Planning and Zoning Commission should make their recommendation based upon.
Thank you.
And I think there's a motion already open on the table for discussion of this. So we probably don't want to have a second motion at the same time, but we could do it later. Yeah. But So in addition to the fact that variations and conditional use and those sort of things, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into this, but the theory of zoning and why it is considered constitutional is based on a concept, based on the standard concepts of due process. And one of the parts of due process is that where there are circumstances that are unique to a piece of property. Usually that will include, like if you have a large piece of, like you have a portion of a piece of property that has a large slope or a body of water, or there's something like that. That's one of the ways there can be a hardship where practically that person could not use that piece of land. You can always argue that they knew that when they bought it too. But in this case, the village has a piece of land which has been put to this use for many years. Once we demolish now having demolished the community recreation building, we no longer have the right to that use. So because this is, there are two different pathways you could have taken. One of them was to go for a rezoning. And a rezoning establishing that, finding a zoning district that would have allowed the setbacks and the parking in the front and some of the things that we asked for here. And maybe that's the way we should have proceeded. And maybe, I think a good argument could be made that we should have had zoning sooner in the process. I think that would be a fair assessment. I think that if you get into real dangerous territory, that if you remove the idea of hardship, because that is the reason why you have the hardship definition is because that is something that says otherwise you're required to follow the strict requirements of the zoning law. And the gentleman the other day who had a house that was built inside of the existing setback, in a world where you can't use any hardship, he has to tear his house down. So in that case, his lot could easily have taken, he could have easily demolished his house and built another house there, but it would have been incredibly expensive for him to go through that process. The village could have proceeded with the rezoning here instead of a variation and, sticking with the current zoning and variation. Honestly, I didn't attend those meetings and understand why we pursued this way. So I appreciate your willingness to work with the process as we pursued it. But the suggestion you're making would have much more far-reaching effects. The individual decisions is, that's human nature and different boards and different discussions and different understanding of the word hardship. You also have the expertise of a planning and zoning commission that's been the same throughout. So, I can't speak to the condition of the case that was yours. I don't have the facts of the case in front of me, but taking out the idea of hardship would have, as much as I understand your point and as much as I appreciate your perspective, that would have that'd have a whole different effect on the process and make the Village of Villa Park's process probably less supportive in general when we would use the variations at all. I'm sorry, I'm beginning to talk around in circles, so I'm going to stop there.
Trustee Patrick.
And I completely understand that, and I agree with that. And I think what the simple solution would be here is to have a standardized definition of the word hardship that is used across the board for all decisions being made.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, can you do that? I mean, obviously we have to look at what the state statute is, and Trustee Kozar.
Well, to Kevin's point and mine earlier, we need to remove the subjectivity from it, where just for whatever personal reasons or that one may have, that there's a definition for what a hardship is. And I just can't buy the idea that on a 2.7 acre parcel that the architects can't come up with something that complies. You've got a clean slate, a clean canvas to work with. Again, I'm voting for it. I want to see the rec center. I don't want to deter it. But I think this is an example where the village itself comes in and is making the argument that we, the village, have a hardship on a clean canvas that can be worked around. But then a small homeowner or something like that has to make this case where subjectively a board or individuals from the board can vote and argue that they don't have a hardship, whatever that is, whatever they want to make that argument. We just need uniformity so that everybody is treated the same way. If it's the big village, or a big company coming in, or a big developer coming in, the small homeowner is treated the same as the big, and the big is treated the same as the small. That's what we need in our village, all around. This is one example of that.
Okay, any other discussion? Trustee Cordova?
Yeah, I guess this kind of goes back to the conversation we had a couple months ago, where, what was it, 134 South Princeton, where those people bought that house and we denied any kind of help outside of backfill for their sewer that they purchased that was going into their neighbors or something like that. Would that be something that a hardship, is that how we determined that they did not have a hardship because of the cost that they have to incur because we didn't know, or that the village didn't know about that?
Trustee Cordova, are you talking about something that came before this board?
Yeah.
On a sewer?
Yeah,
Well, there was,
I don't think that was a variance.
yeah, there was their sewer was attached to the neighboring sewer, and there was the neighbor wanted them to disconnect it.
Got it, okay.
Which is against our code anyway, which is against pretty much every code.
Right.
So how it was done in the first place was, nobody knows.
So you mean that something came in front of the board at Coffee with the Board?
Conversation, yeah.
I thought it was coffee.
It was Coffee with the Board.
Coffee with the board.
Yeah, it's a
Okay,
different,
my bad.
yeah, that's a,
All right, well, we can talk about this one other time.
Yeah, that's a entirely different thing there. Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments on 8B? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
President Casella.
Yes. Okay, move on to resolutions. Item 9A is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing an agreement with High Level Promotions from St. Edward, Nebraska, to secure sponsorships and naming rights for various areas within the village's recreation center. Manager Harline.
Staff has been investigating additional revenue streams for the Recreation Center to help offset building and/or operational costs. High Level Promotions specializes in securing sponsors in a variety of sports, entertainment, and recreation facilities. The proposed agreement would allow High Level Promotions to solicit interest from potential sponsors and bring back to the village proposed naming rights packages for approval. In the agreement as proposed, the village would receive 70% of the proceeds garnered from sponsorships, and High Level Promotions would receive 30% of the gross revenues, gross sponsorships secured. The resolution as drafted grants the village manager the authority to negotiate some improvements in the agreement. Staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make the motion. Or-
Trustee Cordova, we have a second. Trustee Corkery, any questions or comments? Trustee Alfano.
I do have, I fully am supportive of looking at naming rights, but I do have some general concerns about the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission kind of having a better understanding of what we're actually looking to name. Is it just the building? I know the contract says it could be the building, it could be a different amenities, but I'm not exactly clear as to what amenities we have in our upcoming Parks and Rec besides our basketball courts, our track. So I'd really like to kind of push this back to the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission so that they can get more detailed information on what they are currently advising for us, to get a clearer direction on what exactly they would like for us to look at naming. I fully support this. I just want to know, are we looking at just a building? Are we looking at different pieces of this? And what pieces are we looking at
Okay,
here?
we'll let our Parks and Rec Director get up here. Greg Gold.
Good evening. Yes. So there could be the basketball floor, could be naming, sponsorship. The walking track could be sponsored by a local health organization. The weight room could be sponsored by another fitness health organization. And so those type of things. On top of all that, with the the baseball field or softball field out there, we might be able to get some, a scoreboard sponsorship. It's a little bit outside the rec center, but those are some of the things we're looking at.
Okay, so you mentioned there'll be like a weight room.
Yes.
Dance studio, preschool rooms,
Dance
any
studio.
of those?
Yep, yes.
So we're going to have preschool rooms?
Yes.
As well?
Preschool age programming rooms, yes.
But preschool
everything-
rooms?
Yeah, well, yes, but if we're in need of extra space, we'll be able to change it up to accommodate older folks as well.
Everything that's at Iowa Community Center will be transferred to the rec center.
Okay, so if that's the case, can I also then ask a follow-up question? We are offering preschool now. There are questions with parents in the community. Are we offering preschool programs then at the new rec center?
We're doing preschool, we're not doing the licensed daycare.
Okay, can you tell me what the difference will be?
The licensed daycare is through the county. You have to go through a process. They became more strict on their, I'm lacking the word, excuse me, I apologize, but their policy is more strict as far as who the directors could be, and the directors need to have a degree, and we're finding issues with hiring qualified directors because they're going to schools or they're going to private daycare.
Okay, do we know if other surrounding communities are still offering those programs come the fall and next year? Because I would imagine that they would have the same.
Yeah, I would imagine, well, right, and there's competition with the private sector as well, so.
I would also argue that there is a need in Villa Park to offer that, so something to consider.
Yeah, we've had issues, and ever since COVID, we've lost a lot of qualified staff. And we used to have, the assistant director used to be qualified as well, but that changed because you have to have a qualified director on, in the building when there's the preschool, licensed daycare. She's no longer qualified. So
We are kind of getting off topic here just a little bit, though.
All right.
Could be a discussion for later.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Trustee Alfano?
No, those were all my questions. Thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
Director Gola, for you as well. So just in simpleton terms, what's the difference between what DuPage is requesting and what you're saying about the differences between licensing for having a daycare or for preschool?
You know, I can get you those specifics. I don't want to speak out of.
Could you tell me what the difference is, though? Because I'm trying to understand
licensed
why we
daycare
would
is
go
a
away
certain
from
amount
somebody
of
that's
certain amount of time.
licensed.
Pardon?
I'm trying to understand why we would go away from a licensing process that the county is requiring, and what does that mean? What's the difference in what we're offering to our residents?
We're getting away from the motion itself, though, conversation, though.
What I'm trying to do is tie a correlation into why we are looking into naming rights. And I think this goes hand in hand with this, is because there are, daycare, we need that as a part of our facility. That's what we have at Iowa Community Center, or what we did have. What do we have now?
We have some drop-in programs.
So we are not licensed through DuPage County to have that.
Right. It's on a shorter term. It's not an 8-hour-a-day daycare. It's a shorter term for.
Shorter day?
Yeah, shorter day, but we have several different classes.
Are there different rules or stipulations between the two?
For a license?
Between the two types of programs that could potentially be offered?
Yeah, well, if you have daycare and it's for 8 or 10 hours a day, you should be licensed through the county. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. So leading into that, though, potential sources for sponsoring that could be daycare centers or nationwide known daycare centers or something along those lines. But I'm trying to see which would be more appealing to our residents. Would we want to be licensed according to the county, or do we want to skip that and do?
We are having problems finding staff, licensed staff that meet the requirements for the license, for the county's license. They are not, we've lost staff that have went to private daycares or to schools to teach because you basically need an education degree.
My next set of questions for you, as well as during the presentation offered by the company here, is that they talked about products, whether or not you're going to have a sponsorship by, let's say, Pepsi versus Coke or something along those lines. So has the commission looked into those types of sponsorships as well? As far as products, we are going to have a kitchen in there, is that correct?
Right. I'll let the manager handle that, or answer that.
So, I mean, I think that at this point, we're looking at, do we want to move forward the types of specific, if you guys would like to have Parks and Recreation Commission or any other body, probably that'd be the best one, to come up with some parameters, you know, where you would like to see what's in bounds, what's out of bounds, you know, I mean, I could exaggerate to make some obvious out-of-bounds suggestions, but...
I think that's a great idea, because we don't know what's going to be in that building right now. So there are all sorts of things that could be sponsored or things that shouldn't be sponsored. And I think those are important discussions to be had and information that a board like us should have, so that way we know when we enter into an agreement like this, we know exactly what sort of things we're going to be getting sponsorships for.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay.
Well, and I think that's in their, when they were here, when High Level was here, I mean, they kind of brought that up, that there's certain things, you know, like they said, we don't want it to be minor league baseball, you know, but so they'll work, you know, with us what we think is good, what they think is good, and obviously Parks and Rec will be working with them, you know, directly.
Then I will, in my trustee report, make that recommendation that Parks and Recs be involved within part of that discussion as well, to help us understand what sort of sponsorships are going to be provided for the things that are going inside of the building that we don't know of yet.
We could certainly come up with a list of different areas. High Level did make a presentation to the Rec Commission last month, I think.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Kozar?
Some of what I was just going to ask was already spoken about, but I think it would help, Greg, if you could provide the board with a list of the programs that will be coming through the rec center, a list of like the rooms. For example, you mentioned a weight room, there's a kitchen, there's a dance room or studio, so forth. Yep. A list of like what those rooms were. So we could then look at potential opportunities. Those potential opportunities would also include, I think you mentioned a scoreboard. So for me, what I would like to see is just a list of the programs, a list of the rooms, a list of the opportunities. And then additionally, have any other companies been contacted that do anything similar to that?
I haven't found any. We could still search, but and list, I like that, listing everything, the potential, things that we can bring in, we can certainly list those. We can list all the rooms and the potential and all the programming.
That would certainly help me just get a better vision. I know that we've made some changes to our footprint of the building and what we were going to have in and not have in. Something that just kind of clarifies it on a piece of paper that with bullet points would be helpful.
We can have something within the next, hopefully the next board meeting, provide that, or a weekly report.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Trustee Alfano.
One other question is, would the board get the final approval of the naming, or is that going to be something that the Parks and Rec department will do?
So, I think you're asking, okay, if High Level comes up and says, we've got Pepsi for $1 million, will Greg approve it as Parks and Rec Director, or would it come to the board for approval? And I think it would come to the board, correct?
Yeah, we ask for your approval on the different companies that want to
I
sponsor.
mean, if it's $1 million.
Yeah, but that,
Yeah.
we would run it past the board and get the approval, yes.
If it was an agreement, I think we would have to, certainly at some levels.
That's what they said when they were.
Yeah.
Trustee Cordova.
That's what they said when they were here. They'd put it public opinion or public comments and all that, so we don't get something weird. But my only comment also is tomorrow is Parks and Rec Advisory Commission meeting at 7 o'clock at Iowa, so I'll be there.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any other questions, comments? Trustee Kozar.
So, given the fact that our director is going to be providing us a couple of lists in the next couple of weeks, and also look into some other companies, I don't feel I want to vote to secure high level one way or another, and I don't feel that there's an absolute rush to have it done. We're also missing a trustee today. Unless somebody can explain to me why, we should vote right now, I would suggest, and I can do so via motion, that we just table this without a date certain, and we can bring it back when we're ready.
Okay, you make that motion?
No, can I make a comment? Or
Are you going to make the motion, or?
Well, I said it, unless somebody wants to tell me why they don't think that's a good idea.
Trustee Cordova.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're going pretty quick, right? We want a list of different rooms and different spaces. I believe that these guys, which is what, High Level Promotions last month, said that they have a pretty decent out clause. So if we don't like anything, we could just say no, there's no, we don't have very much skin in the game at all. I guess I would ask Manager Harline to just make sure that that's correct, right? Because we didn't really see anything. And then the second piece is, I feel as though if we do have a list of different things from them, then we can probably get started on moving on some of that stuff. So the sooner the better, contingent on if we do have an out clause that we can get out of. If we do, if we work with these guys and 2 months later someone, Reebok comes and says, we'll give you $2 million, whatever it would be, we can say yes without having to go through them or whatever it would be.
Yeah, they brought that up, that we can end the contract at any time. I believe so.
Yes, and there was a legal review of the contract and proposed revisions that would allow the village or either party to terminate the agreement at any time without cause with 7 days written notice to the other party.
I think there's one other thing, and a 2-week delay is not going to, I don't think it's going to have any material difference in their ability to find partners. I think part of the thing is to find, my understanding of how they wanted to operate was to find the partners first and then try and pair them with the opportunities. So I don't think that would, I think we could go either way. And we will be bringing back agreements. I think the other thing that sort of might be along the point you're making, Trustee Cordova, is if we became aware of an independent, if Reebok came to us, didn't realize we were working with High Level Promotions, would High Level Promotions automatically, is it work like an exclusive contract where they would have to get their fixed percentage? And that's going to have to do with how we write the contract. And my understanding is that they wouldn't be exclusive, but by the same token, if we start having a conversation, they bring somebody to us, it would, whether you wouldn't want to sign a contract with them if they started the conversation. But so those are different options, and we can flesh that out. But yeah, if you guys want to delay it by, if you guys want to get more information, come back in 2 weeks. And in that time, I know that they listed 2 other companies. I didn't contact them, I'm guessing, and I didn't, so we can talk to those other companies and get you some feedback to see if what they told us was true, but it's not going to prevent us from moving forward with the project.
Trustee Kozar.
So given what you said, Manager Harline, I would make a motion that we simply table this without a date certain, and when we're ready to bring it back, we can bring it back.
Is it table or postpone?
It still technically should be a motion to postpone indefinitely.
A motion to postpone indefinitely. I would like to make a motion to postpone indefinitely 9A.
Okay, do we have a second for the motion? Trustee Patrick?
I'd like to second that.
Okay, questions or comments on the motion to postpone? Trustee Patrick?
I will agree with this because I do think it is good that we get all of our information in order, so that way We know exactly what types of promotions the company is going to be looking for us. Or sponsors, I should say.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Cordova?
So are we looking, sorry, and this might be a question for Trustee Patrick, are we looking for like a proposal for them before we sign something?
No, we're simply looking to look at the new footprint of our recreation center. We are going to look inside of that building and see how we're going to be utilizing that space differently from the Iowa Community Center, and looking at the potential for the types of sponsors that this company would like to bring in. We talked about sponsoring special rooms. We talked about sponsoring basketball courts or courts along those lines. But in their presentation, they also talked about other potential sponsorships of, for example, like having Pepsi over Coke, or a certain workout towel over another, things like that. I think this is a great opportunity for the village to take advantage of. But I think from my perspective, I want to know what's going inside of that rec center, so that way I have a better idea of what types of sponsorships these people are going to be looking for.
Okay. Anything else? Clerk Kornecki?
Trustee Cordova?
No.
Trustee Corkery?
No.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kosar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
And I'll vote no on that.
Okay.
So the motion to postpone indefinitely does not pass. We had a motion for the resolution as it stands. Any other questions or comments on that?
Trustee Patrick, you said the motion does not pass. What was the 12 votes?
I'm sorry?
You said the motion did not pass?
Right, it was 3-3.
Okay, so the motion...
The motion to postpone does not pass. So the motion is out for the actual resolution that is still out there on the floor.
So my question then is that we just, as a board, agreed, or part of the board agreed to deny trustees access to additional information.
No, the additional information will still be there.
So we are going to get that information that we're still requesting?
Yeah, Director Gola said he was going to get that, yeah. Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that had nothing to do with that. Okay. Trustee Alfano?
So I'm still not exactly comfortable with taking a vote on this evening, and I would move to postpone any board decision on this contract until the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission is able to advise the board with more detailed information.
Did we just vote on that?
Yeah.
What I would recommend is you move to postpone it to a date certain, which has not been voted on yet. There was a motion to postpone on the table that was indefinite. In order to differentiate your motion, you should select a date certain for your motion and have the board vote on that.
So I realize that they're meeting tomorrow. I assume that we could have an emergency meeting, or they could call a special meeting to have a discussion over this so that they can advise us before we vote on this decision, or on this contract.
So do you have a date, if you're going to make a motion, do you have a date that you want a motion to postpone?
I would want
to?
it by our next meeting.
It's 25th.
So there's a motion to postpone until the next regular board meeting?
Until the 25th or past that?
To the 25th.
To the 25th.
To the 25th, okay. Okay, so there's a motion to postpone item 8A until September 25th board meeting.
9A.
Trustee Patrick. I'm sorry, 9A.
I would just like to add, if possible, to the motion to include that we have the recommendation back from Parks and Recreation before we make that in 2 weeks.
Understanding what the board's request is, but the motion to postpone can't be contingent on that. It's just a motion to postpone, date certain, understanding that the board wants that recommendation from the planning and zoning, or Parks and Rec.
Okay.
I have a question.
You got a motion on there first?
Do we have a second?
We have a second for the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have a second yet, sorry.
Trustee Patrick.
I'll make this second.
Okay, thank you. Manager Holland.
So I actually wanted to, so this is an informational request from the attorney, and I hate to ask you a question, but, so the board, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission meets tomorrow. They've obviously put their agenda out. Their agenda states the items that they have on their agenda. How much leeway do they have to discuss this topic tomorrow at their meeting?
They can have a discussion on it, they can't take any action.
Okay. All right. That's kind of what I thought, but, I mean, it's an advisory commission as opposed to the board, but it's still the same rule. Okay.
So they can't vote on any recommendation, but they can discuss the matter and add it to the agenda.
Trustee Kozar.
So since the motion on the table is kind of fast-tracking it for 2 weeks, Director Gola or staff, when can you have us a list of other companies, and how many other companies are you going to reach out to?
I'm not sure. We'll have to do some research on the type of companies that are around. So I don't know how long that will take. We'll try our best to do it as soon as possible. I just don't know what's out there.
I agree. I don't want to put you under the gun, and that's why I didn't do it till a date certain, to have it open, so you had plenty of time to...
We'll try. We'll certainly try until the next meeting to find other companies that we can reach out to.
But you'll have to reach out to them already by the next meeting.
Yes.
So you'll have to make a list of those.
The list that we can provide you with, the type of programs and the amenities that we have, that's not a problem. We have that. We have that based on the building. So we have all the gym, we have the walking track, we have the weight room. So those type of things, we just have to come up with a list and the programming. So that's not, it's just trying to find those companies.
Finding those companies.
Correct.
And then reaching out to those companies.
Reaching out and
then hoping
getting.
they get back to you and give you some sort of proposal and
Correct, and what they can do for
looking to
us. Yep.
All in 2 weeks.
We'll try.
Sorry, Director.
It's okay.
Trustee Corkery.
So we're not going to be able to get recommendations from the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee in the next 2 weeks, right, effectively, because they can't make real recommendations because they can't vote on them, they can only discuss it. Am I right in understanding that?
Correct. However, Director Gola can come back with some information on it and the results of the discussion, I would think, from what and Trustee Cordova, he'll be there, so we should get some idea on the leanings of the commission, I would think. Trustee Patrick.
If this isn't necessarily something that's has to be done right away, why can't we move that date for a month from now? So that way, there's plenty of time to have that commission come back with a recommendation. I mean,
if I could, President, unless we ask the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission to have a special meeting on this, the earliest that we could get a recommendation, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it, I'm just saying their next meeting where they could have it on the agenda would be October 10th, and our next meeting after that would be October 23rd. So if you want to make sure that there's time to get that information, we could make the date certain, October 23rd, and by that point, we would certainly have the information you're looking for and have at least done we could post a request for proposals on the website and see what we get back. High Level Promotions, if you remember, listed 2 other companies that do this work. They also said they were not going to be able to produce a competitive bid, but that was their statement, and so we there's some things we can do. As with anything, I don't know what the time process is on this. As long as they understand that we look like we're moving towards you're going to get the back with normal meetings, the quickest you could have it back is October 23rd. So that will cost you that much time. And I can't tell you how that's going to affect the final results, but it wouldn't prevent us from pursuing it.
Okay. If that's, okay, Trustee Kozar.
What's our projected, subject to change, of course, opening date for our rec center, completion date for our rec center?
I would say probably around November 1st, 2024, being optimistic. I'd say January 1st, 2025 being pessimistic.
Okay.
Trustee Cordova.
So do we have to make an amendment to Trustee Alfano's?
Trustee Alfano would have to make that amendment.
Trustee
just
Alfano.
have one more question for Director Gola then. If we were to push that to October 23rd, does that give you more time? And would you be more comfortable being able to get some of that information about other companies to us?
Yeah, I really don't know what
Yeah.
companies are out there, to be honest with you. So we'll research and do the best we can to try to find those companies. And
Okay.
these guys, high level, reached out to us, and for staff, we thought it was a great opportunity to bring in some additional revenues for the rec center. So that's what we're trying to do.
Sure. And I fully support that. I just want to make sure we see the big picture first.
Yeah, we'll research and see if there's any promotional companies out there that are in the area, and they can get back to us. So.
Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Alfano, do you want to amend your,
Yes, I will amend my motion to, let me see if I can get this right, to postpone this issue to October
Resolution
23rd,
8A.
or vote,
Resolution 8A?
resolution to October 23rd.
I'm sorry, 9A, sorry, thank you. It's October 23rd. Okay, so there's a motion to postpone 9A until October 23rd. Do we have a second for that amended motion?
We have
Ms.
it.
Patrick?
Yeah, I already have it.
Oh, okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay. Clerk Konecki?
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
No.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Casale?
Yes. Okay, item 9B is a resolution approving the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Villa Park and DuPage School District 45 for a school resource officer service. Manager Hartline.
We also have in our audience today, as you can see, Dr. Tony Anthony Palmisano, who's the superintendent of schools for District 45. And after a period of discussion that I would say total time in discussion would have been 15, 16 months. I think we've come up with a proposal which both parties can agree to. The version that is in the packet tonight is exactly as it was adopted by the District 45 board. And I think it's final, and I think that, I was talking to Melissa earlier this week, and there might, I don't know if we got the final conversation between her and Matt, but it'd be very, very small. If there's any tweak, it'd be very small. They have there's things we asked for that they gave us. There's things that they asked for that we gave them. We have chosen the SRO, which Dr. Palmisano and his staff, we brought them 3 viable candidates. They picked Joe Bastian, so they are already engaged in this process, and I think it's a really good step forward. I think it's supported by their staff, but if you have any other questions, Dr. Palmisano is here to answer questions and can tell you, but we're both excited to move forward with this. But both, I mean, the village staff and District 45.
Okay. Do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Trustee Alfano? Okay, questions or comments?
I do have
Trustee
some
Alfano.
comments. So I, as a parent of D45, I want to thank the village, and I want to thank Chief Rivas. I know that this has been an ongoing discussion before I came on the board. This has been an ongoing discussion. And I know that in the community, there have been some strong opinions. I do feel like we have reached an agreement where, in this day and age, we just need to kind of have this cooperation and collaborative communication between the village and the police department and our students and our staff at the schools. So thank you very much for all of the work that you've done over the past months.
Okay. I'd just like to bring that same issue up. I think it's a good idea, and it's nice we finally worked out with D45 and our police department, and for people at home that are going to be watching this. The officer is there basically for safety of the students and the faculty that are there. He's not there to write tickets or arrest anybody. He's there basically for safety, to try to if there are problems, is to try to deflate the incident before it gets too far out of hand. And I know Chief Rivas is excellent at that, and his police department are all excellent at defusing situations. So I think it's a great idea, and finally got to it. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Clerk Kornacki, please.
Trustee Corkery?
No.
Trustee Kosar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Petrick?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, that passes, and we will get all that signed off.
When does that start? Sorry.
According to the agreement, it started August of 2023. So, it's sort of as soon as we're going to meet with staff, we're going to meet together, make sure that we, iron out any other details, and also make sure that any discussion between their attorney Matt Gardner and Melissa Wolf, if there's anything else we need to tweak. But we're very, very close. We got the stuff like how much they're going to pay, and there's some limitations to what the SRO can and can't do that we accepted, and without giving away anything that, there's certain things you can't sign away. There's certain authorities that are vested in you by the state that you can't just agree away. But there are things that we can do by policy to make sure there's a positive experience for the students at Jackson Middle School, Jefferson Middle School, and the other schools in D45, where Officer Bastian will have a presence. So.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Chief Rivas deserves a great deal of credit because he has been at this longer than I've been here. So,
okay. Move on to item 9C is a resolution approving and authorizing the village manager to enter into a contractual agreement for leadership training. Manager Harlan.
The village manager's office and staff are interested in establishing a comprehensive leadership program for the village's management team, which will improve communication skills, build synergy within the team, and strengthen leadership across the organization. Staff would like to contract with strategic government resources for the development and implementation of a leadership training program to carry into the 2024 budget year. A specific proposal is in the packet, and that the cost of a year for that program runs us about $10,000, just under.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
You have a second? Trustee Alfano? Questions or comments? Trustee Patrick?
I think this is a really good idea. I think it is definitely going to be beneficial. I know that you said it's within the packet, but for our residents out there, can you explain what a program like this does and how it operates and why it is beneficial to our staff?
Well, so in addition to having a library of different training programs and a monthly organization-wide learning program, they're going to do quarterly Zoom.
Go ahead.
Quarterly Zoom meetings. I want to make sure. I want to make sure I have your attention when you're. So I'm not scolding. I just didn't want you to lose your attention. I swear. Anyway, so the quarterly Zoom meetings led by their staff, I think, will be particularly powerful. One of the things that I promised when I applied for the job was to try and pursue build a culture of leadership, of servant leadership. That is the cornerstone of SGR. I've known Ron Holyfield for years. I think his staff and his organization that he's built around the same idea, which is prevalent throughout a lot of leadership literature, will work well here. I know that in the surveys of the staff, we have an organization that wants to be involved in their work, and I think anyway, so that's the idea, is to build a program that will build leaders for the future. I know there's at least one department head who has a growing leader that wants to help grow one of the leaders in his department, and I know others do as well. I think that we'll also begin to have instead of 7 different programs and 7 different parts of the organization, we'll have a coherent philosophy. Don't get me started, I'll just run forever.
And just my last question, and this is going to be offered program-wide to all employees of the village, is that correct? Or all
No.
departments?
Well, so we're gonna look for the emerging leaders first, and the ones where we can have the greatest impact. So people who are below the department head leader status, maybe even one or two department heads in the first class. But then the idea would be to build from there. And I'm not opposed to the idea of cooperating with other villages to get. I mean, anyone could. I mean, we're probably going to start with those people who are going to use the leadership training first, the people who are going into the next stage, and they are going to be classes. So you want to keep it small enough so that you can have interaction among the groups and have a useful, have the most impact. But yeah, anybody who's in the organization who aspires towards leadership, when they're identified as somebody who's leadership potential by their department head or by somebody else in the organization, by myself, they would be eligible.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee O'Fonnell.
Oh, I love the idea. I think that servant leadership is something that benefits everybody involved, staff and residents alike. Is the intention to offer this just for 1 year or over multiple years?
This is for the first year,
First year.
and from there we would move forward and make it, a regular annual thing. So.
Okay.
Okay, Clerk Kornacki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kosar,
Yes.
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
President Cassell.
Yes. Okay, move on to item 9D is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the agreement with W.B. Olson for construction manager's services for the Lions Park Recreation Center project.
All right. So this amendment has 4 different pieces to it. The staff is supportive of it. The 4 items total $419,228, and the first part of this is a increase of $32,416. This was the increase in the original pre-construction period was anticipated to run from August 22 to April of 23, and the actual pre-construction period went from August 22 through June 23. The second item in the amount of that's actually let me do it in the order that my memo doesn't follow the order in the agenda, but the other items in the agenda, the other increases for the $126,008. That was based on the additional cost that was the long lead time items had to be bid separately, costing additional work for them. There's also a...
Is it 126 or 166?
It says 166. 166, I'm sorry. Yeah, 16608. And then the smallest part of that is the addition of the builder's risk insurance. That was not in the original contract. Basically, it covers the costs in case there is a catastrophic event during construction. It was Irma's recommendation that the contractor pay for it, and that is just a pass-through cost with no increase. The $201,880 is simply a shift from contingency, general contingency into WBO's contract, that they can use that money to hire things that fall between the cracks in the site, such as construction fencing, safety railing, maintenance, heaters on site, things where if you've got two or three contractors working in the same building and clean up between contractors, there isn't a dispute as to who takes care of this. So this would come out of contingency. This is a not to exceed allowance and not a actual dollar figure. It would be that amount or less. And then the, I'm sorry, the 266 was, that was due to the fact that the nature of the timing required them to do two separate, to extend the contracts from 12 months to 15 months. Yes, 32,000 was adding the second set of bids, so, okay. And staff recommends approval of the contract amendment number 1 to the agreement with WB Olson.
Okay. We have a motion for the resolution. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
We have a second. Trustee Corkery? Questions or comments? Trustee Corkery?
Why did Irma make the recommendation to change who pays for the insurance? Do we know?
Well, it wasn't incorporated in the original agreement, and they just decided, they felt that that was it's typical to put that in a contract and have the builder take out the builder's risk insurance. So that was their recommendation. They get to pick it. And there's also, they felt that they'd probably get a better price of it, as opposed to, Irma doesn't build that into our rate, so they'd have to go out and purchase it anyway. So.
Sure. Trustee Kozar?
So, I wasn't following you as you were giving that explanation. So number one, 166,000 is extending whose contract from 12 to 15 months?
The time for the project, the construction period for the project is now going to be about 15 months instead of originally planned at 12 months.
So WB Olson wants an extra 166,000 for those 3 months.
And up to
manage the project for 3 months.
The extension of that is a allowance for up to that amount for costs associated with the additional time on site for the construction period. Yes.
Okay, but it's not cost. It's just the cost is WB Olson's consulting fee for 3 months.
For the additional
months is $166,000.
Right.
And then 200,000 is job site requirements. So the example you gave is if 3 contractors are on the project and something needs to be done, rather than arguing who should be doing it based on their contract and contract price, WB Olson is just going to jump in with our money and say, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. Is that right?
Taking that out of contingency if things come out of occur on site, as opposed to trying to straighten out whose mess it is that was left behind and trying to decide who should sweep it up or something like that. Yes, WB Olson would use part of what we have already budgeted as contingency, and we would allow them the ability to assign that money up to the $200,000. That is an allowance, is not a direct cost. But I mean, it could be up to that amount, but that is not a money going directly to WB Olson. It would be they would be either bringing in WB Olson staff or other subcontractors to take care of those small projects.
So if we're not requiring the contractors to do whatever it is, sweeping up per se, like you said, are we then getting a discount from those contractors? I mean, it just seems like an extra expense if these are, giving your example, but I think Mike has.
Sorry, if you don't mind.
Clarify.
I think maybe to help clarify.
Great.
So that original one from 12 months to
to 15 months, that additional allowance would be for the actual staffing. WB Olson will be there as the construction manager. You know, we don't have added time for managers and all the job site requirements. The other one was actually built into the base bid, the construction general requirements. However, when they bid the package, some of that was broken up, so this is the remainder of that contingency fund, and what they're requesting is to move it into a different line item. That line item being like contingency on their side, so if there is some miscellaneous things that doesn't fall under any contract, we now have a contingency to go take care of it with WB Olson's crews versus trying to find, you know, separate another bid to do general cleanup, or say like the silt fence is down.
That makes sense.
The excavator's there. The excavator's required for the silt fence. If they're gone, and they just need a little section, you know, put back up to maintain silt fence, we now have a contingency to kind of fix that, is the intent of that line item. So it's kind of a catch-all. It's not intended to relieve anybody of their duties, but it's for, it's very hard, you know, with a 15-month schedule to have trades there all the time. And so then if there's a breakdown, we do have a little contingency, or that scenario of if it's not in any one trade's bid, but we need a certain thing. Like I don't know if this is for sure, but it's like porta potties that's used by all trades. It would come out of that contingency versus putting it on, say, the excavator provide their own porta potty, then the next trade provide their own porta potty, the next trade. We would just, instead of getting on that a contract, we would just go with WB Olson to get a contract for a porta potty on site to use by all trades. That's the intent of moving that fund out of the, which was originally budgeted for the site, into a separate line item, is what that item is related to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. What you're saying is it's not really a new cost, we're just moving it.
Yeah, it's not a new cost, but instead of baking it into all the general trades, it's just, we'll not have a contingency in case that's something like my general case would be like a porta john. It's going to be used by all trades. Just easier to pay WB Olson to supply that for all trades than pin it into contracts.
Okay. And then while you're up there, number 3 is just short of $20,000 for insurance. And that was something that was originally contemplated at the time.
I think originally what Manager Harline was saying is we were going to purchase that ourselves, but it's better to put it actually on, pin the responsibility onto WB Olson to take that insurance. So it's their insurance for the builder's risk versus the village's.
Okay.
That way, if something occurs, we'll go against their insurance that they procured, but we got to pay them that cost that was not originally in their contract.
And then the $32,000 for the unanticipated cost for the contracting. How is that not part of their original contract?
I think that the two parts was trying to break it up due to the structure did incur some additional time, man hours to bid out the two packages, the original package and the second package. So I think they're just asking for compensation for that additional time. Because their original bid was to bid everything at once, go through all that. Now they doubled their efforts. Granted, it provided us maybe some savings by securing early and save our timeline, but it did occur some man hours, so they're requesting some additional compensation for those additional man hours to break out those two estimates.
Okay. And I know 30,000 in the whole scheme of things is not that much considering a $22 million project, but I mean, obviously you think that's fair given the two.
I think what we requested is fair in terms of trying to make some savings in the time frame and stuff. It did take some more effort. You know, initially you saw the last bid package, we had 23. So, you know, adding, I'm sorry, 24?
24.
24, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bid packages, and so they would have had, what was it, 20? I think we did 4 initially up front, the HVAC, so it would have been 27 at one time. Instead, they had to go out, solicit bids, review the bids, take those bids back in, provide recommendations, and that would have been included in the 27 originally, or 28, plus or minus, I don't have all the numbers. And so that was their number, was the 60,000, or sorry, 32,000, was for the additional labor too. I shouldn't say labor, man hours for them to perform that task.
The detail of that 32,000 is on page 274 of your packet.
What was the total, what's the total contract price for WB Olson originally? Do you have that at your fingertips? If not, I can just get it later.
Yeah.
It's not going to change, it's all right.
It's in there, I just...
That's one, the construction manager's contract?
Yeah.
Right.
That's that one, is it that 1,175,230? The original was
Yeah, so I think in the-
756.
In the amendment, it has the original,
Plus the extra, so,
yeah. So the original was 756,02, and the new price would be 1,175,230.
Thank you.
So the total increase is 419,222.
220.
With,
Okay.
like we said, some of that was originally baked into the original budget.
And that's under a 12-month.
It was just kind of relocating from village funds or different funds into their contract.
Okay.
And all $419,228 were included in the price that they gave you in the slide 2 weeks ago. That brings the total cost up to, of the building to the $20,085,651. So that, this is not increasing that amount that was anticipated last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Okay, that's more clear. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 9E, and this is one that I missed on the amendments to the agenda. After speaking with Manager Harline and Attorney Wolf, we would like to postpone this while the manager talks to Williams Architects. There's a couple items that he would like to get cleared up with Williams before this comes to us for a vote. So, do you want a date certain on that, or just open it?
We should have it back easily by the 25th.
Okay.
In 2 weeks.
So I'd like to enter, or have someone enter a motion to postpone 9E until the September 25th meeting. Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to make the motion that we postpone, is it 9E?
9E, yeah, correct.
Until, what was the date again?
9/25.
9/25.
Yep. Okay, so we have a second on that motion.
I will second.
Trustee Alfano? Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes, so that will be back on the 9/25 meeting. Okay, item 9F is a resolution approving and ratifying the issuance of a notice of award and contract for general trades for the New Lions Recreation Center to Hargrave Builders, Inc. in the amount of $1,055,450.
During the meeting, during the meeting on August 28th, the Board of Trustees approved a series of 7 alternate bids for the construction of the Recreation Center at Lions Park. For 6 of the 7 alternate bids, the reason to accept the higher of the 2 alternate bids was to allow for the construction of the running track. Item 10W, which is this item, however, was for additional costs associated with wall panels in the amount of $16,000. The motion and vote were to approve the alternate. Staff recommends approving the attached resolutions to approve the base bid in the amount of $1,055,450 and thereby eliminating the wall panels. This was not made clear, and we said do all the alternates. This one should not have been the alternate bid.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Kozar?
Second.
Okay, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
President Casone?
Yes. Okay, item 9G is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a First Amendment to the employee leasing agreement with GovTemps USA LLC. Manager Harling.
In September 2022, the village entered into an employee leasing agreement with GovTemps USA LLC for the finance director position. The initial term of the contract was from September 12, 2022 to September 15, 2023, with the intention of the agreement being renewed on an annual basis. Staff is requesting to continue the current contracted Finance Director Chuck Howard in his position, and to approve the amendment to the employee leasing agreement. The total annual cost of the agreement is estimated to be $212,576, and we believe that Director Howard is doing an excellent job, and we'd like to continue the contract for one more year.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for item 9G? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Kozar, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, clerk, go ahead, Trustee
I
Patrick.
think there's a couple. I just want to say that I have been very pleased with the performance of Director Howard. He's been doing a great job for us. I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Clerk Reneke, please.
Okay, Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
President Cassell.
Yes. Okay, item 9H is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering agreement with Collins Engineering, Inc. of Chicago, Illinois, for the potable water tank inspection in the amount not to exceed $68,500. Manager Harlan.
The agreement with Collins Engineers is to inspect 4 of the 5 potable water reservoirs in the village to evaluate their current conditions and provide recommendations for repairs required. That wasn't hard. This will assist the village in its capital planning to maintain its critical potable water storage reservoirs. Collins Engineers previously inspected the water reservoirs in 2014. However, due to the age of the report and conditions for the reservoirs, the report needs to be updated to reflect the current conditions. Staff recommends approval of the resolution. The staff recommends approval of the resolution. Director Guerra is here if you have any specific comments or questions about this item.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Patrick?
Second that.
Questions or comments? Yes, Trustee Cordova.
Pure curiosity, where are these reservoirs?
You.
I know it's 9 o'clock, but.
It's okay, he knows this one.
So
We
we do
know
have
this one.
5 reservoirs. We have 2 elevated tanks that are 500,000 gallons. One's located at our Station 82 at Princeton and Plymouth. And then the other one is over here at Home Avenue. Additionally, over here on Home Avenue, we have a 300,000 and a 500,000 gallon, I would say semi-in-the-ground storage tanks. That's the tank right behind the old fire station. And then that mound in front of the water tower across from Home Avenue. And then our last reservoir is a 2 million gallon reservoir, which is down on Cornell Avenue. That was part of our booster station down there in our inner tie-in. So that's our 5 locations. Just as clarification, we're only doing 4. The reason we're doing 4 out of the 5 is we recently recoded externally and internally the Home Avenue tower across the street. It's like 1 year old. We do not feel that it's probably worthwhile to expend funds to investigate that tank since repairs were recently made.
Cool, thank you. Okay. Questions, comments? Trustee Kozar.
So total, how many gallons do we have? Do you know?
Like 3.8 million, I believe.
And then, do you know off the top of your head, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, how many gallons are generally used in a day?
We're around a little about 500,000. So we have a little bit of we have about 2 to 3 days of reservoir space. So I'm sorry, about 1.5 million gallons a day.
1.5.
Is about our average pumpage. I should know that number. I just send it over for the audit. But yes, about 1.5. However, if there's ever a crisis, we'll enter into, we have a set plan. It's actually in our ordinance that we will go to conservation. So we should have about a 3-day supply in the reservoirs for the village.
Okay.
And we do have interconnects through the DuPage system, through some other communities. So ideally, we should be set.
For a couple of days.
For 3 days.
Well, for 3 days, but I'm assuming we have interconnects that we can open up with other communities. As long as we don't lose all of DuPage water, we should be okay.
Right, so, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, any other questions? Hey, Clerk Reneke, please.
Trustee Cordova,
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
President Cassell.
Yes. Okay, move on to item 10 is old business. I don't believe we have any old business to discuss tonight. Item 11 is public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone here for non-agenda items?
We had Cheryl, but she left already, so I guess Joe is volunteering now. Joe Amore.
Waste a piece of paper that I'm going to write it down. Joe Amore, 309 East Maple Street. I'd like to bring it to the attention of the village that next week is Rail Safety Week. On behalf of Operation Lifesaver, I've brought out some brochures from Metra on safety around trains. They're out there by the hand sanitizer. We our railroad safety partners with the Canadian National Police are also celebrating their 100th anniversary. I have a partial message from them. Every year, more than 2,100 North Americans are killed or seriously injured because of unsafe behavior around tracks and trains. All of these incidents and deaths are preventable. Rail safety is a shared responsibility. By looking out for each other and working together, we can help keep our communities safe and prevent injuries and fatalities on or near railway property. Please go to the, when you have an opportunity, go to the Operation Lifesaver website, oli.org. They've got a complete module for the whole week. A lot of different programs, information. The theme for 2023 is Stop Track Tragedies. On Monday the 18th, the theme is hashtag Stop Track Tragedies. The audience targeted is for the news mediator, government officials, OLI partners, and the general public. On the 19th, the theme is Operation Clear Track, law enforcement first responder partnerships. The audience for that is law enforcement and first responders. On the 20th, the theme is Crossing Safety. The audience is targeted for general public, mature drivers, shift workers, professional drivers, school bus drivers, new drivers, outdoor enthusiasts, people experiencing homelessness, transit users, farmers, risk takers, those working near tracks. The 21st, the theme is Transit Safety Thursday and Professional Driver Safety. Audience targeted is for transit and commuter riders, professional drivers, school bus drivers. Friday the 22nd, the theme is Volunteer to Stop Track Tragedies and Wear Red for Rail Safety for all audiences. Saturday the 23rd, the theme is Trespass Prevention. The targeted audience is for general public, pedestrians, cyclists, joggers, outdoor enthusiasts, college students, people experiencing homelessness, risk takers, those working near tracks. And finally, Sunday on September 24th, the theme is No Photo, Video, or Selfie is Worth the Risk, targeted for photographers, professional and amateurs, social media influencers.
30 seconds.
We would like our members of our community to take the following rail safety pledge for ages 13 and up. I will make safe choices around railroad tracks and trains by obeying warning signs and always expecting a train. I will stay off the tracks, including when taking photographs or filming videos, and will never walk on or too close to railroad tracks. It's dangerous and illegal. I will only walk, ride, or drive across railroad tracks at designated crossings, and I will share the rail safety message with all my friends. And simply for all our community members under the age of 13, I will always stay back from railroad tracks. I will never walk or play along the tracks. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? Clerk Heineke.
No.
Okay, anyone else for public comments on non-agenda items? Okay, we will move on to item 12, new business. 12A is a proposal for use of the building at 24 East St. Charles Road in Villa Park, Illinois. It's a discussion item about a proposal for a possible business at the site. The owner is not here tonight. I thought he was going to be here. But however, 24 East St. Charles, the potential buyer of that property would like to build a wine bar there. So he would obviously be getting a liquor license, and he would also want gaming machines in there. So the reason for the discussion tonight is to see if the board is in general approval of this before he goes ahead and buys the property. He's looking to probably put about $250,000 into the rehab of the building. It will have an outside patio and some other amenities on the inside. He will have some food in there. So just wanted to open it up so that we can give him an idea of whether or not the board would be in favor of it when the liquor license comes up here for a vote in the future. So, Trustee Cordova.
24 East St. Charles, that's next to the Walgreens right there? That's the
Correct. It's the old Here to Stay salon, yeah. The entire inside's been gutted, so it's down to the bare walls now.
That's my question, that's it.
Yeah, okay. Trustee Corkery.
It seems like a reasonable use of the building to me. I'd be in favor of it.
Okay. Trustee Alfano.
So some of the feedback that I receive from residents and neighbors reflects around gaming machines in particular, and how our village seems to have quite an abundance of them. That's my only caution. I don't have a problem with businesses, of course. Wine bar sounds delightful. The gaming machines give me a moment to pause.
Yeah, it's most of the requests that we get for liquor licenses include gaming. What I like to see on these types of businesses is that it's a separate area set away from, so it's not like a bar where you walk in and there's gaming right there. It's generally lately the ones that I've seen that are nice like this, it'll be a separate area, and so you don't walk in and see the gaming right away. Yeah. Just goes there.
That's not a requirement though, right?
What's that?
That you
No.
have a separate area for
No.
gaming, so it can
No.
just be up front and center if they want to.
Correct, right. But I think they prefer having it just as kind of like an add-on, not screaming at you like a bar, like you would have in a bar.
The gaming is typically the main moneymaker in those small businesses though.
Correct.
And the wine is just collateral because you have to have a liquor license if you have a gaming license.
Correct. Trustee Patrick.
I'm just unaware, is there suitable parking at that location for something like that?
The owner has been talking to Director McLaughlin about that. I'll let him kind of bring that up.
Yeah, I've been working with a contract purchaser on a completely new parking layout. What you see right there is what not to do in a parking standard. It doesn't make any sense. You've got angles going against it. It's nonsense. So we're starting from scratch. Here's the building. You have asphalt, but let's pretend it's not there. How would we put a new parking lot in this location, even considering new approaches and new access points? How do we do it right if you're going to do it from scratch? So we're working with them right now on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? So I'd just like to get a consensus if the board would be willing to move ahead with this. So Clerk Konecki?
Okay, consensus?
And allowing the liquor license if it should come before the board.
Okay. Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
You pass?
Abstain?
Abstain?
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
I'll abstain for now.
Okay, then Trustee Kozar, recused.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm okay with that.
And President Casal?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
I'm okay with it here.
Okay.
What's the count?
Well, we got three.
Three.
3 vote for and 2 abstaining, 1 recused.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'll bring that up with the contract purchaser. And then item 10B, I'm sorry, 12B is a proposal for the use of the building at 219 West St. Charles in Villa Park. Proposal, obviously, for, the business is already there. There was a brief synopsis in our board package. If you would give that to the clerk, please. And we have the owner of that business here, Brian Wong. He owns it as a dance studio right now, and this is in the building next to Home Plumbing on St. Charles Road. And Mr. Wong, if you'd like to.
Thank you. My name, as you know, is Brian Wong. I own Chicago Dance Factory, which we've been a proud member or business of Villa Park since 2017. We survived the pandemic, And we survived getting booted out of our location so they could tear our building down right after the pandemic. So we are, it's not as healthy as I wish we were, but we're healthy enough to survive through all of that. We are a solid business. We are actually something that brings culture to this economy because we're this community, because we teach ballroom, country, swing, and salsa and dances like that to adults. Now, the nature of our business is we teach Mondays through Thursdays. Weekends, the reason why you'll drive by that place and often it is empty or closed is because we are at dance competitions around the world. We get hired by events, we take students to events. We just got back from Nashville. So we have a lack of use of space. That space was sitting there until one of my friends who owns an art company was like, why don't you do art shows on the weekend? That led to, well, can you have wine there? That led to, well, if we have wine and other things, why not create a cultural center? The thing is, I don't want to run a bar with a whole bunch of yahoos coming in and destroying my dance floor because I made a mistake once. I went to my ballroom, my old studio out, and it took me 3 months to clean the floor to where our dancers could use it. However, for something on the weekends, especially on the weekends, what I envision is art shows, a bridge club, Toastmasters, basically a place where we could create opportunities for social groups to meet. I would absolutely love a liquor license to be able to serve I don't want all hard liquor or anything like that, but just simply like wine and maybe some craft beers. Now, one of my students is actually a lawyer that represents a lot of the gaming companies, and when we mentioned this to him, he was like, you should ask for a gaming license. And I'm like, well, I don't know, I would want a gaming thing in the window. However, we are bringing in people from out of town. We have a small separate room that we use for a small private room. And based on the numbers I've seen, I would, if you would be kind enough to let us have it, it would guarantee that, or not guarantee, would help us ensure that we would be part of your culture and part of the envisioned future of St. Charles Road when St. Charles becomes the next York Street in 10 years or so from now, where we could be part of your culture and part of what brings the level of Villa Park up. If you would be so kind.
Okay. For this use too, Director McLaughlin and I did visit the facility last week, and you can see on the drawing that Mr. Wong gave us, it's a nice setup, and again, the video gaming is in a separate room, completely off by itself, where you see the tables. That is where the dance floor is right now, and like Mr. Wong said, he would definitely be protective of the floor, so this will not be wild parties or anything like this. Again, wine and beer only, and it would not be a rowdy crowd, I don't think.
Really, I prefer targeting an older crowd, or a much more mature crowd.
Mature, thank you, not older. Thank you. We have many mature people here.
Majority of our students are between 50 and 80, so.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments here? Trustee Kozar.
I know Mr. Wong, and he's been loyal to Villa Park, and I commend you for surviving COVID the way that you did. You were creative, you stayed in business, you kept your name out there, you did good.
Thanks.
Mr. Wong's a good businessman, he's a responsible guy. From what I know about him, he's got a head full of ideas, and he's always trying to promote. I think he's very good for Villa Park. I like what I've seen since I've known him. So I think if you're going to support this, he would be the one to do it. And I appreciate you coming here, number one, showing up, and actually laying out what your ideas are. This does not surprise me at all that you have that vision and you would lay it out organized and here to answer questions and whatnot. So I hope this succeeds for you. I hope your business succeeds for you. And I would encourage the board to get behind you.
Thank you.
One question I do have for Director McLaughlin, have we figured out the parking here? It's okay?
Oh, no, we haven't done a deep dive.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on some.
Okay, good. Trustee Corpy.
I just add that I'm always happy to see more arts and culture coming to Villa Park, so thank you for that.
Trustee Alfano.
I also wanted to commend you for giving us so much information and in depth that really does help us with the vision and what you are, planning and what you would like to see. Like Trustee Corkery, I am a huge fan of the arts. I do believe that the arts could be an economic driver, and thank you very much for bringing that to Villa Park because I think we need more of that here.
Trustee Patrick.
Absolutely. I have to piggyback off of that as well. I think when we talk about the word culture, and especially talking about economic development as being a driver, when Villa Park is really trying to find an identity or latch on to businesses that bring people to us, I think that's an excellent opportunity. I normally am hesitant about gaming and liquor licensing, but the way that you presented it and the aspect that you bring to Villa Park, I really appreciate that. I would be in favor of this.
Okay. Okay, anyone else?
May I also add that I think because you have a history here in Villa Park as a business owner, it does, I'm not typically, as you heard, a fan of gaming, and I have my personal feelings on that as well as some of the residents and constituents, but I think that when you have shown who you are as a business owner, I think that that's something that we don't ignore as a board. So thank you.
Ron wants me to buy the building. Ron, the Travis, who owns the plumber shop, wants me to buy the building. Danny Machine would probably make that happen.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. All right, anyone else? Okay, Clerk Kornacki, a consensus on the potential liquor license, please.
Okay. Okay, Trustee Cordova?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
As you know, I
Recused?
would recuse myself.
Yes. Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
President Cassell?
Yes. So, well, hopefully you'll move ahead with this, and we'll see you up here
Thank you.
in the near future.
If it's legal and it's appropriate, you want to have a company.
No, it's not.
Village party at the studio. I would love to.
All right, we will see about that. I don't know how many dancers we have on staff, but we'll find out. Good.
Ian.
Thank you. Okay, item 13 is Village Commission's reports. We have none tonight. Item 14, Village Clerk's report.
Yeah, just a quick reminder that next Tuesday is actually the first SALT meeting again. The season is starting. Officer Bregman, Sonia Bregman, has a program already set up, and so it's at this Iowa Community Center on the 19th, Tuesday the 19th. The program starts at 11. Lunch will be provided by Senior Concerns at noon. And I think it'll be a very nice beginning for the new SALT season. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're on the trustees' reports. We'll start on my left. Trustee Alfano.
Thank you, President Cazone. I wanted to extend congratulations and a welcome again to Officer Simons, and I'm happy to see that the commitment to the hometown, it's certainly appreciated. A reminder to residents that the Autumn Jubilee is on September 30th at the Prairie Path by the History Museum from 2 to 7. Food, games, face painting, a creation station, and more. You can check out the Fun Commission's Facebook page for more information on that. And on a little bit of a somber note, as our nation does reflect on the events of 9/11 in 2001, I do want to extend my gratitude to our fire and our police departments and to all of those who are working in the community that aren't always seen as people who are protecting us and keeping us safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Corkery.
No report this week.
Okay. Trustee Patrick.
All right, thank you. I've got just a couple of things. First of all, I don't know if I should be making a motion for what we talked about earlier regarding the Parks and Recreation Commission and getting that recommendation, or if that was just a general consensus and that is going to happen, or do I need to make a motion on that?
I mean, I can defer that to the village manager, who can give direction to
Well, yeah.
Director Gola, and that's fine. No motion is necessary.
Okay, and then along the same lines then is that I would like to see that the Traffic and Safety Commission also be involved with some of the stakeholder meetings regarding the underpass. We do have some members on the commission that have some really valuable experience regarding railroad, and I would like to get some of their thoughts and ideas as well. Lastly, when I was in the United States Coast Guard, as a first responder, we always talked about the meaning of devotion to duty. And I think today, 9/11, is a special reminder of what devotion to duty actually means and why our first responders are so important to our community. So I would like to extend my gratitude to our first responders who are out there every day putting their lives on the line and utilizing, or not utilizing, but living that devotion to duty every time they come to work. So thank you. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Trustee Cordova.
Today was my new first swearing in of a police officer. That was really, really neat to see. One of my favorite things is when we have a promotion or, a swearing in, that whole group comes in, and it's just nice to see. So just a hats off to these two guys over here that run into some pretty cool crews, and they're always grateful and very nice to say hi, and it's just nice. So thanks.
Good. Trustee Kozar.
Just want to say, being 9/11, we don't forget we're united as a country. So I hope everybody just takes a moment and remembers the strength that we are as the United States and the democracy that we have. And we continue that tradition long into the future. Thank you to all our first responders.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Village President's Report. I'd like to commend, I know it was brought up earlier, commend Chief Stapleton on the 9/11 ceremony this morning, 8:30 at Station 81. It's very moving when you see all the police and first responders, police and fire, they come out to get together and go over and discuss the happenings at 22 years ago already. But it was a very nice ceremony, Chief. Thank you for, was started by, I think, long ago, and then Chief Rakosnik really made it an annual event, and I'm glad to see that you're keeping it going in his tradition and upholding it very well. Thank you. Thanks for the hat too, the New York PD hat. Saturday, this coming Saturday on the 16th is electronic recycling at Public Works on Home Street from 9 to 12. You do have to have your driver's license to show that you are a resident. And I'm sure people have seen the signs up, but October 7th will be Brewfest at Cortese Park. If you go online, you can find out how to sign up for that and get in there, and that's always a great deal, and hopefully we have good weather and no rain out there. So it's Saturday, October 7th. We'll move on to the village manager's report.
Just a couple things. First, I want to make sure you're aware that the International City County Managers Association in Austin, Texas is coming up, and I'll be there from Saturday, September 30th, and returning on Wednesday, October 4th. I won't miss a board meeting. I'll still be here. So Suzanne doesn't get her first chance to, or I think you've been up here one time before. So. Hispanic Heritage Month starts September 15th, runs through October 15th. We may bring back a resolution to that, or we have a lot of people in our staff and in our community that of Hispanic extraction. I think it's the #1 minority in Villa Park, the most prevalent minority in Villa Park by race. I wanted to note that in addition to the District 45 adopting the IOU, the IGA for an SRO, I think I got this. They adopted the agreement for the baseball fields and recreation facilities. The board gave me the authority to negotiate the final agreement. We're very close, and there aren't very many terms that would need to be changed. However, we are waiting on Villa Park Youth Baseball Association. I saw an email popped up from the new president, and I don't know what's in that, but so that was the next step, to make sure that they sign on it, and then get those details worked out and decide. What I understand is they want to take a more active role in maintaining the fields, particularly starting with the District 45 fields. It may be that we don't need to extend the agreement past 1 year if they are going to take up the final step of setting the fields. The district has already taken up the task of mowing their fields, which a number of years ago we did before the last time we assigned agreement was 2007, expired in 2017. We negotiated through 2021, and then summer 21, even though we knew we didn't have an agreement, we did all the last little pieces and setting the fields, as well as the mowing at, no, I think so. Anyway, on both our fields and District 45 fields. Summer 22, they did all the maintenance totally on their fields, and then this year there was a consensus that we wanted to go back to the table among all three parties and come work out an agreement. It's done, but for the signatures of Villa Park Youth Baseball, and then we'll see where that's at. But if they want to, they have expressed interest in getting volunteers from their organization to do the line painting and the setting the infield and making sure the field is dragged and everything before the events. So we'll see more on that as it develops. And then, as others have mentioned, I think, the day, I certainly remember where I was on September 11th. It was working for the Mid-Missouri Solid Waste Management District in the City Hall in Columbia, Missouri. And this summer, I was taking a trip back to visit my brother and see the beach in Delaware, and we stopped in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where Flight 93 was driven into the ground after the Americans on board decided to take the aircraft back. All died, and some of the details I learned visiting that are pretty startling. But one of the things I really enjoyed was there was a little there's a little spot there, like a little carve out of a wall about the size of a missing brick, and people put little trinkets there, and there's a lot of business cards and things from first responders, because that was in New York and in Washington, D.C., they were responding to a collision and collapse of two buildings in the fire at the Pentagon. In Shanksville, it was they were responding to a plane crash and debris and not much that first responders could do there except for help with the maintaining the scene. But it was pretty neat to see that there are people who, once they had the information about what was going on, already were willing to take steps to come together as Trustee Kozar and do something about their situation. Luckily, we have most of the time we're faced with much better decisions about how to come together and improve our situation. But it was neat to see that in Shanksville. So changed my perspective of 9/11 this year, and that ends my report for today. Thank you.
Okay, item 18 is executive session. It was not listed on here, but I know Trustee Patrick had wanted to go in executive session to discuss goals for the village manager, and if we wanted to, Trustee Patrick.
If I might interrupt, it might be beneficial for the rest of the board. I am unprepared for that discussion tonight.
Okay. All right.
I will be by our next meeting or by the next available
Okay. All right. So then we'll forego executive session tonight and do it next meeting.
We'll have it on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay. And with that, we'll go. Item 19 is adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn. Trustee Patrick, do we have a second? Trustee Alfano, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will close the meeting at 9:32, and everyone have a good week, and we'll see you back here on the 25th.